Welcome back to my kitchen. It's finally time to make tomato pie. I've done this recipe before. If you want to watch that from a previous time, I believe last year, maybe 2 years ago. And I included the pie crust recipe in that as well. Also, I do have a separate pie crust recipe for a single pie crust that you can watch here. And that will step you through the process of making one. It's really not that hard to make it. It's just a little time consuming because you're gonna have to rest the dough a couple of times as you're working through it. Now you can use a pre-frozen pie crust. It's just fine. I think the most important part is really gonna be the pie filling that I'm gonna show you how to prepare. I'm in the middle of making my pie crust, but as I said, you don't have to make your own pie crust at this point. If you already have one, take it out of the freezer to thaw that. And then we need to prepare the bacon. Now, how much bacon do you really need? I'm making only a single tomato pie today, so technically I probably need about 6 slices of bacon. But since I have the oven going and I'm gonna be frying bacon, I'm gonna just go ahead and put as much as I can on the baking sheet, and I'm gonna just reserve some of these for later, for another meal. So you just need 6 slices of bacon. You can pan fry it if you like, but since I'm gonna do the oven anyway, I'll put this in 350. I think it's gonna take about 15 minutes to fry these, but I'll let you know when it's done. They're gonna fry in their own grease. So it took 17 minutes to finish the bacon to my liking. Gotta be careful, there's a lot of hot grease. I'm gonna take it out of the pan. And let them cool off so I can chop them up for my needs. Since my oven is still on, put in my pie shell to pre-bake it without the filling. So I took it out of the fridge and I'm gonna be baking this for 15 minutes until it's solid but not yet brown. While my pie crust is blind baking, meaning it's baking without the filling, I'm going to be preparing a few things that will go into the pie. The main player is my tomato. So I have 3 huge Cherokee purple tomatoes that I like to use, only because it's nice and meaty, and I don't get a lot of these out of the garden, so when I do get them, they're special enough to make it into a pie. This type of tomato, just to point out, it's never really purple, but it's kind of more of a greenish and slightly pink. This is already ripe. I'm gonna cut them in half because I want to squeeze out the seeds and the liquids if there's any, and I find it easier to do it this way than after you slice it. So as you can see, you can get all this liquidy part out. We don't want to make the pie soggy, so once you squeeze that out, then you want to slice these up. It doesn't really matter how you slice it, whether you do it across like this. By the time this is baked, the shape of this is gonna be gone, but we will be making layers out of this, so I'm gonna make it into big pieces as much as possible, getting rid of any parts that you normally don't eat, right? gonna use the juice for something else. Put the tomato in a colander because we want to still get some of the liquid out of this before we use it in the pie shell. Take a nice pinch of salt and salt it, and that will help drawing the liquid out. Set that aside. Next thing I want to do is slice up some onions. This is out of my garden as well. As far as measurements, you use what you think you need. You can see what I'm doing, and you'll see at the end how that's going to turn out, and based on that you can adjust. There is no exact measurement. You can cut these pretty chunky. You can certainly put a lot more onion in there. Just keep in mind that the onion, as it bakes, will release some juice as well. Next thing you'll need is cheese. I'm going to use almost 8 ounces of block of cheese that I need to shred. You can use any kind of cheese, a mix of cheeses. I don't have any other ones that I want to use today, so I'm going to use mozzarella. I'm going to shred this up. That's a lot of cheese. I ended up with 2 cups of cheese, and I'm going to add about a cup of mayo into this. I put in some ground black pepper and mix this up. No, we're not gonna eat this every day. This is just for special occasions. Keep your mayo out, you'll need it later. Next thing I need to do is chop up some of the bacon I fried earlier. As I said, you can have as much bacon as you want, but you really just need about 6 slices of bacon, I think, for my liking, and this will be the rest for later, for other stuff. What you want to do is make bacon bits out of it. My pie shell is pre-baked for 15 minutes. I should have probably pricked my pie shell so it wouldn't have risen up like that, but that's okay. I can still do that and just push it down. But it's definitely nice and flaky, that's for sure. See how nice and flaky? I should have poked it with a fork ahead of time, but it's still not too late. And one more thing I need to do before I start assembling my pie is cut up some basil. For my tomato, I'm gonna kind of squeeze this a little bit just to get out all the juices. As you can see, it's still dripping liquid out of it. I'm gonna put this pie on a baking sheet just to prevent any overboiling, and also it makes it easier to take it out of the oven when it's filled like that. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is putting some mayo into the pie crust, sort of like butter it with mayo. That will prevent some of the sogginess. You don't need much, about a tablespoon at most. Because the next thing that will go in here is the tomatoes. You just want one layer of thickly sliced tomatoes. I may end up doing 2 layers, which is fine. You want to do it all the way to the edge. Next, the basil. I have a lot of basil, only because I love it. You don't have to put this much, or don't put any if you don't like it. Onions. So next is the bacon. You can see this is a lot of bacon. You might not need that much at all, or you might decide to put more. It's totally up to you. So now I'm gonna put my second layer of tomato in here. I'm gonna press this down a little because I don't want the cheese to not fit. And I might have an issue with that, so let's see what we're gonna do. It's gonna shrink as it cooks. So now I am going to put the cheese on it. Oh my, this might be too much cheese. What do you guys think? We'll see how it comes out, right? So you kind of put the paste on it with just the cheese and the mayo in here. It's gonna be super good. Again, my only worry is that the cheese is gonna run down too much, but I'm hoping that as it cooks, it's going to shrink. The tomatoes will, and this will kind of settle right in instead of running down. But even if it runs down, it's gonna be on this baking sheet and it won't be too much of a problem. It's just a waste, I think. So let's push this all the way to the edge. Cover everything with cheese. Make it even, right? Oh, it's so good. So this goes into the oven now at 350. Check on this to make sure that the pie is cooked. And also my cheese is not too brown. I don't want it brown. Here is the pie out of the oven. I only baked it for 30 minutes. So the total bake time is 45, meaning I baked it without the filling for 15 minutes and then I baked it 30 minutes with the filling in it. Look at the cheese. Nice. So I'm gonna wait and let this cool a little bit and then we'll slice it up and take a look. I'm ready to cut the pie. I'm gonna put a little bit of chopped green onion on the top just to make it a little more special. Look at this pie. Cheesy, bacony, tomatoey goodness. I'm gonna enjoy this. See you next time.